Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log, subdates 220812.7, as the dainty bombardment is due to continue over the weekend, coupled with it being a tad warm, I've decided to leave the Arcadia and go somewhere cooler, like an active volcano. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I know today is usually This Week at Twitter, but I do believe, based on recent views, that perhaps covering the recent goings-on with Ezra Miller would do better for this channel. And as more has come out, happened, is going on, and may well happen, it's worth addressing all of it. If you'd like to catch yourself up on this, there's a video on the Omegon 2 Electric Boogaloo channel. I think there's actually two, and there's one here from Tuesday, all of which linked in the pinned comments down below. So according to the Rolling Stone, the Ezra Miller saga now involves Vermont's Child Services Department, because the Vermont officials are concerned that Ezra Miller is shielding the whereabouts of a mother and her 3 children at the actor's farm, with the Vermont Child Services Department saying safety cannot be reasonably assured. The reason for all this is because over the weekend, the Vermont State Police had repeatedly attempted to serve the mother an emergency care order that demanded the children's removal from her care and the home over fear of their safety. But Ezra Miller claimed the family hasn't lived there in months, which the Vermont State Attorney's Office said seemed like an attempt to evade service of the order. It was during one of those same visits that Ezra Miller was then served a citation for a burglary charge, which we spoke about on Tuesday. On Tuesday night, several police cars arrived at Ezra Miller's farm. A local source then confirmed that officers were at the house for nearly an hour, but it was not clear if officials were at Ezra's property over the emergency care order or another matter entirely. It's also unclear if anyone was removed from the property. And because of confidentiality concerning children and families, the Vermont Department for Children and Families are declining to comment on that. Now, for the context of what led up to that, sources had raised alarm bells over children's safety, claiming there were unattended firearms lying around the home, and one person had alleged they saw a 1-year-old child put a stray bullet in their mouth. It was around that time the mother in question had said that Ezra helped her escape from an abusive partner, and the ranch had been a healing haven for them. And based on a DCF caseworker's affidavit, the state attorney's office had requested 2 emergency care orders over a period of 1 week that sought to transfer legal custody of the children over to the state. Many of us creators have wondered why, where Ezra Miller has featured in their, let's say, movies, shows, music, some haven't omitted Ezra. They don't seem to mind Ezra's name being there, and many of us believe that might well harm their brand. The real proof in the pudding for that will be when, if, maybe, the Flash movie comes out, but we will get to that in a bit. As the legal woes continue to pile up for Ezra Miller, some, not Warner Brothers, are trying to add as many degrees of separation as possible from the Flash actor. According to Variety, Mary Harron's Daliland will close out the 47th Toronto Film Festival. With a tinsy omission, Ezra Miller appears in a lead role in that film. In that film, Ezra Miller portrays a younger version of the visionary painter, although it was not made apparent in the official announcement, which excluded Ezra Miller from the cast and crew list. Some believe this is the movie and the producers and everyone involved trying to distance themselves from Ezra Miller, who had actually made a concerted effort to be in this film over a period of 3 days between finishing Fantastic Beasts and then starting The Flash. They made a concerted effort to be in this movie. Clearly, when one's head is screwed on, they actually do put in the effort. An article from Forbes did its rounds. All is good in Flashland, as Ezra Miller arrests continue and supporting films are dismantled. Hey, there's no such thing as bad publicity, am I right? Don't forget everyone, the people are sheeple, and the sheeple will more than likely go and watch it anyway because of that one amazing scene in the Justice League Snyder Cut that featured Ezra Miller turning back time. It was quite something. I really like the music for it. There is perhaps no greater mystery in Hollywood right now than what on earth Warner Brothers is going to do with The Flash, Ezra Miller's solo superhero film. A few years ago, The Flash seemed like a perfectly reasonable idea, and the biggest issues it faced was running through a few different directors. But now, things are wildly different, both in terms of the state of the DC universe and The Flash's role in it, and the frankly absurd situation where its star is now on a literal crime spree. To be honest, I always thought the Flash movie had taken too long to get out. Not least because many people are now suffering burnout and the Flash is still one of the most popular superhero characters. So long has been taken, Black Adam's coming out. I couldn't care less about Black Adam. The Flash should have been out a couple of years ago around the time of Wonder Woman and Aquaman. It really should have, but the issues mounted and continued. I also believed a Flash movie would have made perfect sense because it could have piggybacked off the success of the CW Flash, which has had its rise, fall, and it's done alright towards the end. Thank the Lord, Nicolas Cage that is, that it is ending soon, and that the Arrowverse comes to an end. It needs to come to an end. But apparently, all these issues were getting worse and worse and worse because they just didn't know what they were doing with the Flash movie. So much so, we're more likely to see a third Wonder Woman movie than we are that. I'd like to see what does better in the cinema, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, or The Flash. Bear in mind one has Amber Heard, the other has Ezra Miller. It'd be quite fascinating to see what the sheeple are willing to eat up, especially when many have said they're boycotting them anyway. The current producer for the Flash movie, Barbara Muschietti, my apologies for butchering your name, has said that all is good in Flashland, which has become a meme ever since, akin to sticking your fingers in your ears and going la 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 la, nothing to see here, as there is a burning fire behind you. Now, as we know on this channel, I'm not one to poke fun at people's appearance, but I did see an article by the Daily Mail who focused on that aspect. Exclusive. Scandal-plagued Ezra Miller smiles and lounges on mother's Vermont porch in first photos of the star, since it was revealed the actor reshot scenes for The Flash, and a day after third arrest. Ezra, 29, now sporting a full mustache and longer hair, was wearing a white t-shirt and necklace. This is news, everyone. Apparently we, the reader of this article, have to suffer two things. The first is one for me, because I can't seem to complete one sentence without faltering 20 times over. The second is the mustache that is apparently channeling Ron Jeremy. Now, Ezra Miller, The Flash, and other variations have been trending a lot since Tuesday. It hasn't stopped. So I'm now just going to read one tweet from the more recent Ezra trending tag. The fact that Ezra Miller continues to commit crimes around the world, allegedly, and The Flash still hasn't been cancelled is actually insane. Using they-them pronouns must be like the ultimate defense against consequences in the modern era. I think it's a different problem. When it comes to the globe-trotting allegations, much of this didn't go to the authorities first. But there may well be some validity to other aspects of your complaints there, Mr. Jeremy. When The Flash was trending, Warner Brothers were reportedly considering 3 routes for handling Ezra Miller and The Flash. What are they, you ask? Well, the 3 scenarios. 1. Ezra Miller giving an interview explaining their erratic behavior and then doing limited press. 2. Ezra Miller plays no part in the film's promotion. 3. They completely scrap the film. As far as 1 goes, it wouldn't work and you know it. As far as 2 goes, it wouldn't work and you know it. And as far as 3 goes, how much money are you willing to lose before you consider this as a viable option? And you left out the 4th option. Have Ezra Miller do a YouTuber apology, like Will Smith did. It'll be an absolute banger. The idea of replacing Ezra Miller entirely to do the film isn't viable because of how much it cost to make. They know this. They've cancelled 1 movie already because of issues. I don't know what the issues are and I couldn't care enough to look them up. It's just a bit weird to start production, get into it, and then cancel it before it even comes out. With The Flash, it's almost like you put too much money in, or you also know The Flash is incredibly popular and you've kind of got nowhere to go here. There is a 5th option, by the way. You have the movie play out as it is, and then during that flash point you're intending to use, some point in that film, have Ezra Miller go through time again and just magically regenerate like Doctor Who. Anyone want Ricky Berwick for The Flash? Or Susu? Vanity Fair put out a tweet in this particular tag. though scrapping The Flash seems to be on the table, there has been no indication that the blockbuster's release is in serious jeopardy. Star Ezra Miller, who was recently charged with felony burglary, reportedly participated in reshoots this summer. Bear in mind here, if the movie costs over $200 million, you're spending as much as that promoting it. In an article that they also put out, Warner Bros. Is mulling its options regarding its big-budget tentpole film The Flash. Even beyond arrest though, Miller has been involved in a slew of controversies and allegations. The article then goes on to list all of them. There's quite a few. Despite all of this though, Ezra Miller reportedly filmed reshoots for DC's The Flash this summer. Ezra Miller participated in regularly scheduled additional photography without incident prior to the burglary charge. I'm kinda curious, were you burglarizing for attention? Or are you that broke at the moment that you really do need to steal alcohol from your neighbors? If Ezra Miller refuses to seek help, another potential avenue for Warner Bros. Involves proceeding with the film, but leaving Ezra out of marketing and publicity. Now this is interesting, because they're clearly invested in Ezra Miller as the Flash, but to really help the products, they need Ezra Miller to be seen doing better for themselves, seen making amends perhaps, cooperating with the authorities, apologizing where apologies are required. But Ezra Miller's quite, seen as outwardly quite uncooperative until, handcuffs are out, in which case it's tag me daddy. I'm the Flash, I can vibrate through these, please don't take my ring. I don't mean the one on my finger. There is one last article, by the way, by Yahoo News, and it again restates the three options that Warner Bros. Has going forward working with Ezra Miller. They've worked with Ezra quite a lot. They clearly like what Ezra brings to the table, but whether or not any of that now will benefit them in the future, or whether they could in fact use it, spin it, in some way turn a profit without employing the services of the Ferengi, is a mystery. Ezra, as far as I'm concerned, needs to get help, but also needs to cooperate with every single authority that wants Ezra's attention, to answer for things and allegations, many of which would put any ordinary person in prison.